Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. Wasn't that amazing? Awesome. So we've got a little bit of time for Q&A. I'm Meredith Alloway. I'm a filmmaker here in New York City. And we have Eve Arballo, who is the curator of the Museum of Sex here in the city, the director of the film Ninja Thyberg, and star Sofia Kappel here with us. Before we get started, I just want to say this screening is presented by the Future of Film is Female. Karen Coleman couldn't be here tonight, so I'm taking her place because we are both in love with this movie. And it is a nonprofit organization that amplifies the work of all women and non-binary filmmakers through their short film fund, commitment to exhibition programming, and community building programs. If you guys are interested, you can go to futureofilmisfemale.com and find out more. They're awesome. And I've worked with them on my movies too. They're great. This movie is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for making it, personally. I have to say that. I want to go back to sort of the roots of where this started. I read that you were an anti-porn activist as a teenager. Tell me about the journey from that to what we just saw on the screen.
Yeah, so when I was 16, my first boyfriend showed me a porn film. And I was already then very engaged feminist. And I became so upset about the gender roles and I felt it was very degrading towards women and objectifying. So I became anti-porn activist for a few years and became really engaged in the subject. But after a while, I started to question because I felt like it was so like victimized, like just focusing on the woman as a victim, and like I felt like there was a lack of like positive representation of female sexuality and. So I started to become interested in feminist pornography, and then for a lot, like so that's actually why I became a filmmaker in the first place. So I decided like I'm gonna start to make feminist porn, and then I was like part of a like feminist porn community for a while, and but then also started to question like okay, but this is considered feminist. And this porn is not, but the women, like some of the women in mainstream porn, like, yeah, they don't agree on them being victims. And so like I started to question that, and I was digging into that, and I studied gender studies, wrote an essay about porn, and went to film school. And then, also started to challenge myself again. And then I made the short film Pleasure. But I had never actually met anyone from the porn industry because we don't have a porn industry in Sweden. So, when it got into Cannes and Sundance, I felt like I need to make a longer version, and this time I have to make it properly. And so then in 2014, I went to LA for the first time and started doing research. And then it was like a 5-year period of doing research and writing the script based on everything that I witnessed. And because I got really close, like, I really like lived there and became part of the community, and then so it's been like it's a 20-year process.
And you guys, Pleasure, the short film is on Amazon to rent. I watched it today. If anyone wants to check it out. So casting Sofia, tell me about that audition. I know you were searching. Saw 2,000 actresses for a year and a half, and it was not working out. And then Sofia came in the room. Yeah,
so for 1.5 years, I mean, I knew like she's out there somewhere, and I know that she's gonna carry the whole film. It's so much, so I was like, I'm not gonna give up until it's like that I know like, oh, there she is. And I never found her, and everyone around me kept saying like, after a while, you know, like, but you're chasing a ghost because you have invented someone in your own head that doesn't exist, and that's why no one else is good enough. Like, you can't, like, seriously, like, all these, like, hundreds of young, like, talented, like, it can't be like none of them are good enough. But then one day, I opened the door, and there she was. And I had that. I remember it as like slow motion moment. I opened the door, and she was standing there in like a fake leopard fur, and like smoking like a cigarette, and like, hi. And I was just immediately like, wow, what if she could act? Because I knew that she had never acted before. So she was like a total amateur and had never been like at an audition or anything. And then she just, completely blew my mind. And as I've said before, like it's the best thing that ever happened to me, finding her. So yeah, I'm forever grateful.
And Sofia, I'm going to botch this name, so you're going to say it, but she won what is basically the Swedish Academy Award for her first movie, which was this movie, at age 20. Yeah. Amazing. This is a very, very brave first thing to do out of the gate. Tell me about building this character with Ninja, and a lot of the sort of, I want to say, like, nuance of living in this world. What did you bring that was you to Bella Cherry, and how did you guys kind of build this character?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that, like, I need to build it on, like, the person. So we spent like 9 months from that she got the part until we started shooting. We developed the characters together, and I changed a lot in the script. And we realized for like a while ago that Bella is our child. It's like half you, half me, because there's a lot of me in her as well. And I also always felt, because I really wanted it to be like a story from a 19-year-old girl's perspective, but I was not 19 anymore, so it felt so crucial to have Sofia on board. And so it's not just like, she's not just being like the actress in front of the camera, like it's really a collaboration. And I've asked you so many questions, and yeah, like there was, after a while, like Bella became more like Sofia, like after a while she started to be like, no, she wouldn't do that, like she would do this, and knowing her like, so I also trusted her after a while, like to that yeah. You want to add something about?
No, I mean, I think that what you said, that like Ninja was older and there were some things in the script that were like very stereotypical for what older people think about teenagers, like taking selfies all the time. But yeah, it really was collaboration, and things changed throughout the movie, and I became her. So there were a few times where I was like, no, she's not doing this. She wouldn't, and then we changed it.
And also, like, I am not as good of a writer as the dialogue here is. Like, so, like maybe 50-50 of like written, but a lot of it also was because like the chemistry that you had with, like, for example, Rebecca who plays Joy, but also like sometimes I was just like, yeah. So many of like the punchlines and like the way
it's for free, it's for me.
Delivered, like it's, yeah, that's something that you like do in the moment. So which makes me look much better than I am. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I love that. That was one of my questions too. The film feels so raw and nuanced because of that. And Eve, there are some exhibits at Museum of Sex right now that parallel themes in this movie so beautifully. One of them right now, if you guys want to go see it, is Porno Chic to Sex Positivity, Erotic Content, and the Mainstream 1960 Till Today. I was going to go today, but it was raining, and so I have not been yet. But there's a quote in the exhibit, in the end, sex is too important to leave to the pornographers, which I think is really awesome. Maybe you can speak to a little bit about how you feel like pleasure fits into sort of the history of the way we've seen adult film told through storytelling. And then Ninja, for you, what sort of has come before that influenced this, or did what you did not want to do with this film?
Porno Chic to Sex Positivity is examining the permeation of erotic content from like the fringes to the mainstream over the last 6 decades, so from 1960 to the present day, and tracing this history through 4 lenses of mainstream film, art, advertising, and music, like these very integral parts of our lives. Really gives the viewer or visitor like a sense of things that have changed over the last 60 years. And the most notable thing that I would say is that censorship is actually kind of fans the flames of popularity of things. And the more something is railed up against by conservative groups, whether it's like the feminist sex wars from the 1980s or conservative religious groups, it can actually cause something to become a part of our cultural, I don't know, repertoire eventually. So I think a film like this fits in quite well to that history, to really just show you how far we've come in a way, that this is like a film that is playing in a theater. It has a really great audience, and it's going to be, in theaters. And hopefully there's, you know, not too much pushback, but even if there is, it won't necessarily negatively impact this film historically.
I really hope so, yeah. No, but it's been, especially here, like compared to everywhere else, like the double standard on like I feel like the censorship here is worse than anywhere else. Or I mean, I haven't been everywhere, but like especially if you compare it to Europe, for example. So I hope you're right that it's going to just make it even more popular. Sorry, and was there a question from?
If there were any other films that sort of came before that influenced this specifically, or anything that came before you're like, oh wow, that's not what I'm looking to do, or that's not the gaze that I want for this film.
Yeah, I mean, I would say basically all films ever. No, but because I would like I'm confident enough to say like this has never been done before. Like a view on the porn industry from a female perspective, like the contemporary. But yeah, I remember I saw the film Short Bus when I was really young, and it was the first time I got to see sex and explicit sex in a movie theater, and that I think that really influenced me, and I remember it as a like fantastic film. Also, like Lukas Moodysson, a Swedish director, like Lilja Forever. He has this. It was also this. It's about trafficking. So a woman who's abused, like being trafficked and forced into prostitution. And there's this scene where she goes to a place and there's like all these guys like basically raping her because she's not there by free will, and like all these men like having sex with her, and the whole scene is just shot through like from her POV. So you just see all of these men like coming towards the camera, like having sex with, like as an audience, you feel like they are all having sex with you. And when I saw that, it completely blew my mind, because I just realized, okay, I've never seen this before. Every sex scenes, every rape scene is filmed from like the male perspective, like looking at the woman as an object. We never see, like, it wasn't until you see the other perspective that you understand that your whole life you've been just looking at the world from one angle. So that was something that I was really very inspired by. And so, for example, in the abusive scene, I've like from the moment they start to have sex, I've only like we only see it from her perspective. Yeah.
I think that's also a really nice segue into, I mean, there's so many scenes in this film I love, but I love the scene with Aiden Starr, who's the female director. Because it's all about consent, and it seems radical that she cares about a female orgasm in porn. You're like, really? She's actually a real performer and a Spiegler girl. Tell me about, for both of you guys, that scene, discovering that scene. I feel like in a way it's sort of the heart of the movie. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, I mean, everyone in the film except Sofia, are played by actual people from the adult industry. Some of them play themselves, like Aiden Starr and Mark Spiegler. But it's important to say that some of them definitely do not play themselves. So like the really bad guys in the film are played by really good guys in real life. So then they're doing like a character that is completely something completely different. But so that scene, for example, like I had known Aiden Starr for a very long time, and I've spent so much, like been to so many of her porn sets, and that place where we shot that, I've seen her, been there on that, like doing like almost the exact same film with the same crew and everything. And I know how she was, so we just decided like we're gonna just do it almost as if it would be for real. So everything there is just, she's just doing everything as if Sofia, like the only difference is they're not having sex for real, and we're like cutting in a little bit more, like making sure she's okay. But we like filmed for like maybe 4 hours, and they just did what they would normally do, and we were just filming everything. And the only thing that is like really scripted is the part where with you and Small Hands talking about sharks. Yeah. So
I mean, I thought that was amazing to be hanging in ropes. Like I really looked forward to it, but I mean, my body was so sore. Like I'm really impressed by people that do that often, because it's weird. It like in a good sense, it's weird, but it was amazing, and it was really nice to do that with Aiden and with Small Hands and the entire crew. I felt so taken care of. And even like when you were trying to find angles and like rig a new shot, they would come and like hold my head up or lift my body so that it didn't like hurt. But yeah, it was an amazing scene to shoot, and I had a lot of fun, especially with small hands. It's amazing.
Of course, the scene that comes right after that is not that scene and violent and very intense. And personally, it was hard to watch, but I felt like it was in the movie for a reason, which kind of segues into another exhibit, coincidentally enough, about called Reclaiming and Making Art, Desire, and Violence at the Museum of Sex. Can you both speak a little bit about the sort of need to talk about these things and that fine line you walk between, putting something like that on screen or in a museum, but doing it in order to create healthy discussion around these things? Putting any type of violence, sexual violence in particular, on display, I think you have to be very careful about how you approach that. And with Reclaiming and Making, which is actually closing next month, so if anyone wants to come to see it, this is now the time. We tried to capture the complexity and nuance of the experience of sexual violence in as many different ways as we could. So in the exhibition, there's works that relate to female genital mutilation, to rape, to the experiences of comfort women who were sexually trafficked during World War II. But also in the space, and this is really important, I think, is we have a short film by the Sex Workers Project, because the exhibition was funded by the Sex Workers Project of the Urban Justice Center of New York, and that is called Sexual Healing, and it is a documentary that is meant to show how consensual violence is sexual violence in like a BDSM scene or whatever can be healing, and it provides such a contrast, and really I think we just wanted to like capture as many different perspectives as possible in that space.
And sorry, what was the question? Oh, why it's important with I mean, I have like as my like a rule to never to don't show rape scenes in movies, because I think we've seen too many of them. I mean, I'm damaged for life for like knowing since like I was 9 that my body is rapeable, and like being afraid of being raped so much before I even started to think of like that I wanted to have sex. But I felt with this like I felt like I wanted to have that scene in the film. It felt important. But for example, so when they actually do have sex, we don't see her body. We only see the man. And when they're violent to her before that, they're mostly like she's fully dressed, and they're mostly violent to her face. But I mean I have mixed feelings of like. I think and sometimes because the problem is also like I've noticed that people that scene, for some people it's like just overshadowing the rest of the film, and I think it's been a bit too much focus on that scene in conversations afterwards. And also because Sofia is like such an incredible actress, so you make it look so real that everyone is like think that it's almost happening for real. Like we've had like constantly have to like I have had to like defend like I didn't like
it was the best day on set for me,
like
so I really
she's not
didn't
like
get
it
hurt.
didn't happen for real. She's acting, and there's like we rehearsed everything, and there's the camera, like we're cutting in between takes and moving the camera around, and like but it's I think but I think because it's that film is about like the manipulation, and I don't know if I have like a good answer. I think it's important, but I also think it's problematic.
As many things are in life. So I'm going to open up to you guys if you all have some questions.
Hi, excellent film. Like, seriously, you rocked it. This question is for Sophie. How did you feel in the scene with your co-star, the girl, filming that scene?
The strap-on scene?
Yes, the one with the...
The strap-on scene,
Yes,
really uncomfortable.
yes,
I do
that
not
one.
want a dick.
Okay.
Not at all. I felt
Okay.
like that was one of the hardest scenes for me to do, because I think with the abusive scene, when Bella's the one that's being put through it, I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most women can do that too, because it's like 1 out of 3 women sometime during their life get sexually abused. I've never abused anyone else, so it really sucked getting into that headspace and becoming my own or Bella's own abuser. So it was really difficult, but I'm really glad that I did that scene with Evelyn. And before we shot that scene, me and Evelyn had a very thorough discussion about what was okay and what was not okay. And I was too uncomfortable to like hit her, so I'm actually like high-fiving Ninja in the bed, so I'm not actually hurting her. But it was really uncomfortable. Probably the most uncomfortable scene in the entire movie for me.
Yeah, and that was also really, really like hard for me, because that was one of those moments where we had like planned it to shoot it like to do it much worse, and then but like Sofia, yeah, you didn't want it. Like you were like you knew why it was important. It wasn't like you didn't think you wanted to do it, but I could just tell that you were like and to have to like push someone to do something against their will in a way, or like not against your will, but against your comfort zone. So, but then we managed to like work around and rethink and find new angles, and but yeah, it was really, and I think I did not at all like expect. Wouldn't like you think other things are going to be hard, but I think it is the same thing as what's happening to her. Like once you putting yourself in that other perspective, treating a woman like that, I think it makes you takes you to another level of really understand misogynistic behavior, and also what you've been through yourself. So yeah.
Thank you. Hi. Amazing film. This is for Ninja. How did you get this funded?
Sorry, where are you? I don't.
Here.
Oh, there.
Hi.
Yeah, with just a regular government funded from the Swedish Film Institute, it wasn't a problem.
It's true though.
It's very important. Like it's very different from here. Like they believed in me and said like, oh, it's important for female director to get their story out, and we trust you. Of course, you're gonna make your art here. Take tax money and do it.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you so much. That was a incredible viewing experience. I have 2 questions. One is for Ninja. How do you feel when audiences laugh at scenes you didn't intend to be amusing? And then my second question is for Sofia. You say you really became your character throughout this movie. There are clearly many emotionally taxing scenes in the film where Bella almost has to stop her work. How did you push yourself to finish your work? And did it feel different than when Bella had to finish her work?
I mean, I signed a contract. No, but since I got the part, when Ninja called me and told me I got the part, I immediately said yes. And Ninja was like, no, you're not allowed to say yes now. You have to take at least a week to think about it. Obviously, the answer remained yes nonetheless. But I truly believed in Ninja's vision. And as a female, it felt important to me as well. I think depending who watches the movie, and even between me and Ninja, the film is going to mean different things. And to me, it's a lot about being female and taking the power away from men who's objectifying us and doing it ourselves. And also showing a body that I never saw. I have body dysmorphic disorder, and I've been really sick in that. So it was a lot to me also about like pushing myself. And if I would have listened to what I call my brain monsters, I would never have even showed up to the audition. And I think it's really important to push yourself, because we're capable of doing so much more than we think. And doing this movie completely changed my life in the most positive way that's possible. But of course, sometimes it was really hard and I doubted myself, but I had Ninja with me, and Ninja has been the best support I could have throughout this movie. And like the entire crew, everyone was so supportive. I was never ever put in a situation where I felt so uncomfortable that I didn't want to do it. If I didn't want to do it, I didn't do it. For example, the vagina in the beginning is not mine because I refused. So I think that was really important. Like Ninja never ever crossed my lines, which helped me be very trusting towards Ninja, because she proved to me very, very early on that I can trust her with my life, and I do.
It's my vagina. Well, there was a question. Oh yeah, when some people laugh. I mean, actually, like for me, I see this film like as a comedy. Like I've had so much fun in the editing room and while shooting. Like I've been laughing so much. Of course, there are heavy parts, but I just think it's hilarious. And but I understand that a lot of people see it like with very serious eyes. I mean, I do too. But yeah. So you like it's very rare. But I understand the question. Like sometimes it's more like it's saying something about the people laughing. I can't think of anywhere in this film where I felt like, you know, like frustrated that people laugh at the wrong time. But I've experienced it in other films, and of course, yeah, it just makes you sad. But I don't really. It's like it doesn't matter that it's my film, like that it's anywhere, and also like for me, like I really want this film to be. I worked like so much with it and like try to add so many different layers, and one of the biggest ambitions is that like I want it to be a platform where you can like find different type of discussions and so like people really see totally different films, and that's a positive thing for me, like two people coming out of the theater having the completely opposite idea of what the film is about and what it says and what my intention was and everything. So I think that's like good art is supposed to be like that.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys.
And if you have any questions, you can come up to me afterwards and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you for coming.